Is someone going to shoot the president? What will happen when COVID-19 gets even worse? And will Trump refuse to leave office? All of this on today's top 10 list. Coming in at number 10, we have an organized militia. There have already been warning signs of this taking place. Some people tried to kidnap Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer, which is a terrifying thing to think about. I don't know, maybe this stuff happens all the time and we're just hearing about it now, but the fact that people are out there and are willing to kidnap elected officials to try and get their way is horrifying to think about. Is there no democracy? And the Proud Boys have already said that they are planning something in the shadows. What does that mean? I have no idea, but it could be something that will be seen as a terrorist attack. But in the long run, I'm not really too worried about this, because if a group like the Proud Boys does something, the FBI and the American military would come down on them. And while these guys like to get drunk and wave around guns and scream into microphones, let's go! I don't think they have the supplies to stand up against the American military. I mean, I don't think they could even stand up to the might of the almighty Joey Chestnut. Coming in at number 9, an assassination attempt. It's no surprise that there are a few people that are rattled about the election results, and even though it was a fair election, some people won't go down without a fight, even though it was just a fight for who gets to be president and someone lost. So we might see a Kennedy situation. I'm not saying someone will successfully take down Joe Biden, but there could be someone out there plotting and looking for the grassiest knoll to perch on and fire a shot at the guy who's supposed to step into the White House next. But this could go both ways. There are people who absolutely hate Trump, and even though he lost and he's on his way out, they might still not want him to have influence over his supporters. Taking out the guy even though he's no longer in power would send his people into a frenzy, but it would ensure that they do not have a leader to get behind. I don't think Mike Pence has the Trump energy all of them are looking for. And guys, just a reminder, make sure you hit the like button, it really helps us out a lot. Coming in at number 8, we have Joe Biden's health. This has been something on everyone's mind. Joe Biden is the oldest president-elect ever. When his first term is over, he will be in his 80s, and being a president in the United States might be the most stressful job in the world. And he's taking it on when America is in the worst state it has ever been in. The virus is running amok, the country is divided more than ever, and we have no idea when the next Marvel movie is coming out. So putting all that weight on a man who's going into his 80s might be too much for him to handle. What will happen if Joe Biden passes away before his time in office is up? Now, this wouldn't be the first time that a president has died in office, and America would be able to get around Vice President Kamala Harris as she comes in to run the country, but what kind of toll would that take on the re-election campaign? Coming in at number 7, we have racism towards Kamala Harris. We all know that there's an issue with race in America. I mean, we all remember what happened just a few months ago when we saw the biggest protests in the world go down to help fight for racial equality and defunding the police in America, and with a black woman in the White House, this is for sure going to spark some racist remarks from angry racist Americans. It sucks that we live in a world where people still have to deal with this, but this is the reality. And if my last point is true and Joe Biden has some health problems that force him to step down from his position as president, then I can imagine what kind of horrible things will be thrown at the first black woman in office. On the bright side, all of those people yelling those things are not the president, so they don't really matter at all, and I would hope that all of that hatred is filtered away from her, because she doesn't need to hear any of that. As Kanye West once said, I don't take advice from people less successful than me. Coming in at number 6, we have medical centers get overrun. COVID is still a thing, even though some places pretend like it isn't. It's going strong, and we have recently seen a second spike cause the numbers to shoot up. Now, certain places like Texas have over 1 million confirmed cases. That is wild, and this is where the problems come in. You're going to have hundreds of thousands of people going to the hospital to try and get treated for COVID-19. This is firstly going to turn the entire hospital system into a contact point for the coronavirus. So anyone who has to go there for anything has a huge chance of getting it. On top of that, you already have every bed filled because people are catching the coronavirus, and all the people who would come in for things you would normally be treated for, say like a heart attack or car accident, well, they won't have room to treat these people, and we will see people start to die from things that should be survivable. Coming in at number 5, we have climate change worsens. I feel like with everything that's been going on, we all forgot that the world might die soon. I mean, COVID is forcing everyone to stay inside, so we've started to pollute less. I mean, that's very good for the environment, environment, but it seems that we're still teetering towards the globe becoming inhospitable. And with all our efforts focused on COVID, this one could sneak up on us and kick us when we're down. Coming in at number 4, we have COVID mutates. I mean, this is how we got it the first time. There have been all sorts of diseases on bats and other animals for a long time, but people have been eating these things for centuries. Why was it all of a sudden that this sickness started killing us? It's how we got swine flu, it's how we got avian flu, SARS, and a whole bunch of other illnesses. And of course, this is how we got COVID. But what if while we're still in the throes of battling off this sickness, we come in contact with something that's even worse? And if you don't think that can happen, well, let me tell you that it already has. There was a mink farm in Holland where they found a mutation of COVID and they had to cull millions of mink to stop it from spreading. Now, even though that sounds terrifying, there was no evidence that this mutation was more deadly than the version of COVID we have floating around already. This cull was done as a precaution to prevent the spread of disease, and to stay positive, it's good to know that people are looking for these things now and paying attention to mutations of illnesses, because in the long run, we probably will see fewer outbreaks. Coming in at number 3, we have weaponizing COVID. Here's the thing, people love to get creative. They love to think of new ways they can make the whole world worse for everyone else around them. And what better way than weaponizing the sickness that has been wreaking havoc across the whole globe? Now, how could you weaponize something like this? I really have no idea. Maybe you lick your hand and then you go shake a bunch of people's hands or something, or you breathe into a spray bottle and you spritz a bunch of COVID juice on things. But the real reason why I put this on this list wasn't because of the possible ways that this weapon could be created, but because of who the targets could be. We all know that seniors are the ones who are most likely to die from the coronavirus, and where are larger groups of seniors? Well, the Senate, the White House, and the House of Parliament. What if we saw some sort of biological attack on one of these places? This could be devastating. Coming at number 2, we have Trump refuses to leave office. This is something that has been talked about quite a bit. Trump has sent out some tweets saying that he won't leave office if he loses, and he's tried to make claims the election was rigged, even though that he hasn't presented any evidence. And there's talk of him taking some of the state election results to the Supreme Court. Will any of these court cases change anything? Almost certainly no. But if he still refuses to leave office, we might be alive for one of the most memorable moments in history. We might have to watch the Secret Service pull the former president out of office. Watch them physically remove him from office. Now, not only would this be wild, but it would spark an insane amount of turmoil throughout America. Having Americans watch the man they once supported be pulled out of office kicking and screaming, that's a very aggressive image to see, and people might get angry. And coming at the number 1 spot, we have a Russian cyber attack. Those sneaky dudes with big fur hats and KGB spies, they're always up to something. I mean, it has been well documented that there were a ton of Russian bots that were stoking the flames to get America restless and cause enough turmoil that the country was divided, and it's suspected that they played a huge part in getting Trump elected. That's really weird to think about. Do you really think that the Russians just stopped their cyber terrorism, spreading fake news and making Americans angrier than ever? No, that's not the case at all. They've been hard at work this entire time to try and keep people reckless, and this is the best time to strike. So many people are upset. Everyone is uneasy on both sides of the election, and there have been groups who think they should take these election results into their own hands. I don't like the sound of that at all. Now we're going to answer some questions from my Instagram inbox. Isabel Quinn 34 wrote in and asked, would you rather see a fish with toes or a hairy fish? I would pick a hairy fish every time. Like, it's hairy. Like, is it hairy like a dad's chest, or does it have like amazing mermaid hair and it's just vibing all the time underwater? That sounds really cool. Henry252 wrote in and asked, how many people work at Top 10? Honestly, dude, I really have no idea. I would say there's more than 10, less than 50, I think. And Chloe Lofison wrote in and said, has anyone ever told you you look like David Diggs? This has been flying around a lot lately, and yes, people have told me several times that I look like David Diggs. I still have no idea who it is. I think I looked him up once, but I completely forgot who he was. Alright guys, that is everything we have for you today. Thanks for tuning in, and keep watching this Top 10 content. Bye.
Let it load the prompt.
Loading. Okay. Gretchen Whitmer. Some people tried to kidnap Michigan. Some people tried to kidnap Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer.
Take a break. Nice deep breath.
With people people who can't. Okay, so